The WNBA's biggest moment might also be its most dangerous. While Caitlin Clark and other superstars took the court for the 2024 All-Star Game, every single player wore identical black shirts with a simple but powerful message: "Pay us what you owe us." This wasn't just a fashion statement, it was a declaration of war. And with less than 60 days until the collective bargaining agreement expires on October 31st, the Women's National Basketball Association could be heading toward its first lockout in the league's 28-year history. What makes this crisis so shocking isn't just the timing. It's happening during the most successful period in WNBA history. But beneath the record-breaking viewership and sold-out arenas lies a financial scandal that's about to explode into the open. The players aren't just asking for more money, they're demanding justice for what might be the most lopsided revenue split in professional sports. The numbers tell a story that even the league can't hide anymore. WNBA franchise values have absolutely exploded by an average of 180% in just the past year, the biggest single-year jump for any major sports league in history. The previous record was set by the NBA back in 2014 when Steve Ballmer bought the Clippers, but the WNBA just shattered that milestone. The Golden State Valkyries, who just started playing this year, are already valued at $500 million, making them the first half-billion-dollar women's professional sports franchise ever. Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever saw their value skyrocket by 273% to $335 million, while the defending champion New York Liberty jumped 222% to $420 million. Even the lowest-valued team, the Atlanta Dream, saw their worth more than double to $165 million. But here's where it gets wild. The Valkyries are projected to bring in over $70 million in revenue this season alone, which is more than double what any WNBA team made in 2024. The Fever generated $34 million last year, nearly a 300% increase from the season before. Their merchandise sales per person were higher than any NBA team, and their average attendance of over 17,000 fans exceeded 6 NBA teams and 3 MLB teams. Yet while franchise owners are getting filthy rich, the players who drive all this value are still getting paid like it's 1997. The average WNBA salary is just over $102,000, with superstars maxing out at around $250,000. Compare that to Caitlin Clark, the biggest draw in women's basketball, who's making only $78,066 this year on her rookie contract. Her entire 4-year deal is worth less than $340,000, money that some NBA benchwarmers make in a single month. The real scandal isn't just the low salaries, it's the revenue split that's so unfair it borders on exploitation. WNBA players currently receive only 9.3% of league revenue. Let that sink in for a moment. While NBA players get a 50-50 split with owners, taking home between 49% and 51% of basketball-related income, WNBA players are fighting for scraps from a pie they helped bake. This isn't some complicated economic theory. It's simple math that reveals a shocking truth. The WNBA brought in roughly $226 million in revenue in 2024, but players saw less than $25 million of that money. Meanwhile, NBA players split over $5 billion with their owners. Even the UFC, which isn't exactly known for being player-friendly, gives fighters about 18% of revenue, nearly double what WNBA players receive. Nobel Prize-winning economist Claudia Golden, who's been advising the players' union, calculated that based on television ratings and other metrics, the average WNBA salary should be roughly 1/4 to 1/3 of NBA salaries to achieve true pay equity. Instead, WNBA players make less than 1% of what their male counterparts earn. The players aren't asking to make the same amount as LeBron James or Steph Curry. They're asking for the same percentage of the revenue they generate. As Las Vegas Aces star Kelsey Plum explained, correcting what she called a huge misconception, "We're not asking to get paid what the men get paid. We're asking to get paid the same percentage of revenue shared." Everything the league and owners have been saying about financial struggles is about to be exposed as complete nonsense, thanks to a media rights bombshell that transforms the entire economic landscape overnight. Starting in 2026, the WNBA's annual media revenue will jump from roughly $45 million to $200 million per year as part of an 11-year deal worth $2.2 billion. This isn't just a raise, it's a complete game-changer that essentially makes the league profitable overnight. The WNBA lost about $40 million in 2024, but with the new TV money alone, they'll be looking at a net gain of $115 million annually, even if ticket sales, merchandise, and attendance stayed exactly the same. And we know those aren't staying the same, they're all breaking records. But here's the kicker. Under the current collective bargaining agreement, the salary cap would only increase from $1.507 million per team to just $4 million, meaning players would barely benefit from this massive windfall. The owners would pocket the difference while continuing to claim the league can't afford to pay players fairly. Sports business analysts are calling this the most lopsided deal in professional sports history. The league is about to become incredibly profitable. Franchise values are soaring, expansion fees are hitting record highs, But the players who make it all possible are still locked into a system designed when the WNBA was struggling to survive. The Players' Union didn't just send a message with those All-Star Game shirts, they backed it up with action. In October 2024, immediately after the WNBA Finals ended, the Women's National Basketball Players Association officially opted out of their collective bargaining agreement, triggering what could become the most contentious labor negotiation in women's sports history. WNBA Players Association Executive Director Terry Carmichael Jackson didn't mince words when describing the league's approach to negotiations. As we approach the 60-day mark, the league's lack of urgency leaves players wondering if it is focused on making this work or just running out the clock. Fans do not want that. They are with the players in demanding a new standard for the W. The first in-person talks during All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis were described by Union Vice Presidents Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier as a waste of time due to massive differences over revenue sharing. When the league presented their initial proposal in June, Dallas Wings forward Satu Sabally called it a slap in the face. Players are demanding what they call a transformational CBA. That includes an equity-based economic model where their compensation grows with the league's success, expanded retirement benefits, improved travel standards including permanent charter flights, larger roster sizes, and proper family planning support including childcare. But what's driving players to the brink isn't just money, it's respect. They're tired of being treated like charity cases in a league that's printing money for everyone except the athletes who actually play the game. As Union Vice President Kelsey Plum put it, this isn't some sudden wake-up call. It's the culmination of what we've been driving for over the last several seasons. The league's claims about financial struggles become laughable when you look at what's happening with expansion. If the WNBA is really struggling to make money, why are ownership groups lining up to pay record-breaking fees to join? The latest expansion announcement is the smoking gun that proves the league's financial arguments are complete garbage. Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia are each paying $250 million, yes, $250 million, for the privilege of owning WNBA franchises that supposedly can't afford to pay players fairly. Compare that to the Golden State Valkyries, who paid $75 million in 2023, or Toronto, which paid $50 million in 2024. The expansion fees have increased by 400% in just 2 years, which doesn't happen for struggling businesses. This is what happens when demand far exceeds supply and everyone wants a piece of the action. The hypocrisy is staggering. The league tells players they can't afford revenue sharing, while simultaneously collecting nearly $1 billion in expansion fees from teams that haven't even started playing yet. Portland paid $75 million and committed to spending $125 million total, including a practice facility. Toronto committed $115 million for their expansion fee and startup costs. More than 10 cities submitted formal bids for the latest round of expansion, including groups in Austin, Charlotte, Denver, Houston, Kansas City, and Nashville. This isn't the behavior of investors looking to lose money, it's the behavior of smart money, recognizing an incredible opportunity. While salary and revenue sharing dominate the headlines, the players are fighting for basic professional standards that other leagues take for granted. The WNBA only recently started providing charter flights for games, something the NBA has had for decades. Players are demanding this becomes permanent rather than a temporary perk that could disappear. Roster expansion is another crucial issue. Current WNBA rosters are limited to just 12 players compared to 15 in the NBA. This means fewer job opportunities for professional women's basketball players, and more stress on the athletes who do make teams. Players want rosters expanded to create more opportunities and reduce injury risks. But perhaps most importantly, players want a voice in the league's direction as it expands and grows. Some are pushing for equity stakes in teams or the league itself, similar to what the new unrivaled league is offering players. They want to be partners in the WNBA's success, not just employees. The timing of this labor standoff isn't coincidental. It's being driven partly by competition that threatens to poach the WNBA's biggest stars. Unrivaled, the new 3-on-3 league founded by WNBA stars Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier is offering average salaries around $220,000, nearly double the WNBA average, plus equity stakes for all players. This competitive pressure gives WNBA players unprecedented leverage in negotiations. If the league doesn't meet their demands, top players have other options that didn't exist before. The threat isn't just about money, it's about respect and being valued for their contributions. The 2025 season won't be affected regardless of what happens. The playoffs end by October 19th at the latest. But if no deal is reached by Halloween, the league faces several unpalatable options. They could extend the deadline like they did in 2019, pushing negotiations into early 2026. They could face a player strike, or ownership could impose a lockout, shutting down operations until a new deal is reached. The stakes have never been higher because the economics have never been more favorable for both sides. The league is more valuable and profitable than ever, with expansion teams paying record fees and media rights about to triple. Players have more leverage than they've ever had, with alternative leagues offering better deals and public opinion largely on their side. But there's also more to lose. The 2026 season will see 2 new expansion teams in Toronto and Portland, followed by Cleveland in 2028, Detroit in 2029, and Philadelphia in 2030. None of this can proceed smoothly without a new collective bargaining agreement that establishes rules for expansion drafts and free agency. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert has expressed optimism, saying she wants a lot of the same things the players want, and calling recent talks constructive. But players aren't buying the diplomatic language anymore. They've seen the financial projections, they know what the expansion fees tell us about the league's real value, and they're done accepting excuses. As Union President Nneka Ogwumike put it, "We want to have a growing portion of the revenue share. We want this league to be exactly what it is today, and more." The question now is whether ownership is willing to share the wealth they've built on the backs of these incredible athletes, or if the WNBA's greatest success story is about to turn into its biggest crisis. The clock is ticking, and for the first time in WNBA history, nobody knows what happens when it hits zero.